All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Cruising Complete. I'm Barry.
I'm Cole, and we are finally back from our cruise on Adventure of the Seas.
So we went on the second sailing out of Nassau from June 19th to June 26th. So we're just going to do a little review of the Adventure of the Seas, what it was like. We got a lot of questions of what was different, what was the same. Kind of felt like it was the same, but there was some noticeable differences. So we're going to talk about all that. Let's cruise into it. Okay, so for our review of Adventure of the Seas, first of all, 4 thumbs up. It was a great experience, great cruise, one of my favorite cruises that I've been on so far. It was very low capacity, less than 1,000 people on board. There was so much more interaction and stuff, just the peacefulness. There was just enough people, but not enough to be overcrowded. So it was a great experience. There was a lot of different stuff that, was different this cruise than past cruises. Not necessarily in a bad way, some of it actually in a good way. But we were posting videos to our Facebook group page while we were on the ship, posting little snippets or whatever, and we're doing a full weekly vlog or whatnot. But one of the things people kept asking is, what is different? What is it like? What is different? So we're going to go through a list of about 10 different items or so that really stood out as being different. Like I said, not in a bad way, some of it in a good way. One of the biggest things I noticed right off the get-go, as soon as we boarded the ship, was the muster drill.
Normally they would have a set time on your cruise and you would go to this area where you're crowded. But on this cruise, you would actually find your muster station, or if you get on late like we did, you will go to a different muster station and they will scan your card and make sure that you did all the steps, and then you will be good to go.
Yeah, so you have a couple of options with the muster. You could watch it on your phone. There's like 2 short little videos, took us less than 5 minutes. Or you can go to your stateroom and watch it on your stateroom if you don't have the app on your phone. As soon as you watch it, it puts a little green check mark next to it. Then it tells you to go to your muster station to check in. They literally scan your SeaPass card and check it off that you were checked in. Now, we got on board late, like I said, so we ended up having to go to guest services, and we ended up having to go to a different muster station because it was the last area open for them to check you in. But it's definitely a better experience than standing in line all day and, packed in like sardines like this, bumping up against a bunch of other people. It's always hot outside because it's normally in the afternoon time when you're sailing, so it's definitely a lot better now with the muster drill. But that was one of the most significant changes that we've seen as to prior sailings. And then also another thing was
the kids club or the teen club.
So with the teen club that Cole was in, the hours are very limited hours. They were only open from 8 to 11 at night. On sea days, they had 1 to 2 hours during the daytime that they would be open.
On sea days, it was from 2 to 5, and then 8 through 11. And then on port days, it's 10 through 11 a.m. through 8 through 11 at night.
Yeah, so very limited hours. And then for the younger kids clubs, they only allowed you to book 12 hours the entire week to schedule. So they were trying to social distance it and limit it. Now they did allow you at nighttime after 10 o'clock, which you had to pay for the kids club. If you wanted to drop your kids off at 10, they did have more availability for that time frame. But we definitely noticed the limited hours in the kids club. Like, they didn't even have the teen club open to where the teens could go in and come without instructors there. It's literally, it was locked until they had, one of the staff members there at nighttime. So there were less kids obviously on board. You had less than 1,000 people. Cole, that was one of the biggest things he kept saying was, that there weren't as many friends that he had in the teen club, but he had a good time. I mean, he was running around the ship the whole time. He made some good friends and all that. So that was, another one of the notices that we made, though, was with the hours of the kids club. And then also, whenever we would go to the shows, some of the shows, there was a lot of reserved seating, like entire rows. Like, you would have one row that was open, and then there was 2 or 3 rows where they have.
So normally the first 2 rows would be blocked off, but the rest of them, it would be like 1 row, and then another row was blocked. But you would have like 2 seats in between every 2 seats that would be blocked off also.
Yeah, they had a lot of reserve for the social distancing. They didn't want people getting in together and like combining, you know, a big group together. We did a slot pull in the casino on, I think it was the second day, but we had a bunch of people for the slot pull. There was like 70 of us, and everybody was kind of close, so they kept making announcements over the loudspeaker in the casino that people needed to spread out and social distance. So that was a big thing that they kept talking about throughout the cruise too, is they didn't want a bunch of people packed in the same area. So whenever you did the shows, you did have to have reserved seating as well for the shows. Now, if the reservations weren't full, you could stand in line, and if there was availability at the end, they would let you in. But they did require reservations for that as well. So another big difference we saw was with the food. The Windjammer
was not open for dinner.
Yeah, Windjammer was not open for dinner at all. So as far as complimentary options, the only thing we had available for complimentary was Cafe Promenade. Oh, and the main dining room, you know, the main dining. But if you didn't want main dining room, you had pretty much Cafe Promenade. Room service, but there was a surcharge for the room service. And then you had your specialty dining restaurants if you wanted to do any specialty dining. But other than that, it was Cafe Promenade. Which Cafe Promenade they didn't have an actual Sorrento's on Adventure of the Seas. It was just in Cafe Promenade. But they did have the pizza. What else did they have there?
They had some sandwiches and some I saw some seafood salads and stuff.
Yeah, pasta salads, like
the
olives.
Normal stuff you would see. That's kind of in the Windjammer, just not as much of a variety.
Yeah, so a lot of finger food type sandwiches and stuff in Cafe Promenade. But the pizza was good. If you wanted to order a pizza, you can go up and order a whole piece of fresh pizza if you wanted. So there was no limit on what you could order. If you went up there and you didn't see what you wanted, you could just order a whole pizza. And then, so definitely the Windjammer not being open for dinner was another big difference as opposed to past cruises that we had been on. And one of the biggest things that Cole noticed was a difference was the face mask.
Yeah, those. They didn't strictly require it as I expected, because sometimes I would forget to have it on and I would be walking inside, and nobody would question me. But you can wear it outside on the upper decks, but anywhere inside you're supposed to have your mask on. Kids under 16 years old.
Yeah, if you're not vaccinated, they did want you to have your mask on. There were no mask Nazis going around the boat. Sometimes if you'd walk by somewhere, they'd try to remind you, hey, you put your mask on. But they weren't like mask Nazis. They weren't yelling at you. Like I said, Cole, sometimes we'd be walking off the pool deck and go inside an elevator to go down, and he'd forget to pull his mask up and stuff like that. But that was one of the big differences as well that we noticed, was the kids having to wear masks. And then when you got off in port, everybody had to wear masks in port except Coco Cay.
Yes.
Yeah, Coco Cay we didn't have to wear masks, but when we got off in Cozumel, we had to wear masks. We got off at Grand Bahama, Freeport, we had to wear masks there. Yeah. I actually forgot my mask when we got off on Grand Bahama, so we had to go walk back up the dock to the ship, and they had a complimentary mask that they gave you there. Cole got a pretty cool mask the first day of the cruise. Royal Caribbean gave him a logo mask to all the teenagers, so we had that as well. So yeah, I say another thing was the deck chairs.
Yes, there were plenty of deck chairs.
There was no crowd on the pool deck, pretty much. You can go anywhere.
And there were no lines for anything. We went to do the water slides, there were no lines. We went to do the flow rider. There's a couple people, but it's not like it used to be, where there was a huge line around the whole boat. Yeah,
the one day we did the water slides, we were literally the only two people on it. We walked up the stairs, went down, turned around, walked right back up the stairs, and went down again. And so there was no lines for hardly anything. The longest line that I've seen was probably the line at the dining room, waiting on them to open the dining room doors. That was really the only line that we really saw the entire trip. Now, speaking of seeing, you can see all of this if you subscribe to the channel. We're going to be putting up daily vlogs. We already put up a couple of those. So we are doing the daily vlog of everything live in person as to how it was, and so you can check that all out at the YouTube channel if you subscribe, right? Mm-hmm. It's free, isn't it?
Yeah, it's free.
I heard it's a cool thing to do too.
Yeah.
Is it pretty cool?
It's pretty cool.
Are you subscribed to our channel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you feeling happy with the content?
Yeah.
All right, well, cool. Well, we're going to put up the rest of those vlogs, but check out the Facebook group page too. Like I said, while we were on board, we were posting short videos to the Facebook group page. So you do have to be a member of the Facebook group page. That's free too. You can interact with the other cruisers who are on there. You can ask us questions. You can put posts up. It's totally free, and it's an interactive group. We don't just post our stuff there. We let everybody interact there and ask questions. So it's a cool little group. I heard that's a pretty cool thing to do too, huh?
Yeah.
Are you a member of that group?
No.
You're not a member? Oh, Cole's not on Facebook yet, so he's not a member of the Facebook group page. But maybe we'll get him on Facebook here pretty soon so he can be. But definitely do that, subscribe. Definitely like the videos. That helps us out a ton. But to get back to the other things that we saw that were different. So one of the first things we saw the next morning when we went to the Windjammer for breakfast was they serve you the food now in the Windjammer.
Yes.
So it's different. I like it and I dislike it at the same time. I like it because you don't have a bunch of nasty people touching the food, you know.
The reason I don't like it though is because sometimes you don't get the amount that you want. Like, you can ask them for more obviously, but sometimes they will just, give you a small amount or give you a huge amount, something you don't want. So it's basically on your portion.
Portion control is one of the big things with the buffet. But also one of the other things I noticed too is they had members and standing on like different segments of the buffet, but sometimes they were busy, like there was 5 or 6 different dishes on that little section and they're busy serving somebody else down at that end, and then you got to wait for them to get done to come back down to your end. So it seemed like the buffet line moved a little bit slower. I was fine with it. The workers are great. They were happy to be back. So it was a different experience having them serve you the food. But also, what I kind of thought odd about it, though, is when we got all the way to the back of the Windjammer, and they had people serving you drinks at the drink stations and stuff, too, the dessert stations. So everywhere you went on the buffet, they're serving you. But then when you went back to the back area of the Windjammer by where the bar was, they had the condiment station. And they have the little pumps that you pump out, like, they have like ketchup and mustard and but you do that yourself.
Yes.
So they didn't have any. So I kind of thought it was odd. It kind of avoids the purpose of having them serve you the food to have everybody turn around and be touching these pumps. It kind of avoided the purpose of having them serve you. But I mean, they'll get it all figured out. But overall, it was still a nice experience. Windjammer was open for breakfast and lunch. Now. If you went to the main dining room, they had the paper menus available that you could ask for, but they didn't put them on the table. It was just, you had to ask for it pretty much. It was just on the app, so you would have to go on the app. Now Cole thought this was pretty cool. We went the first night and he's scrolling through. We got video of that too on the daily vlog, but he's scrolling through. He said he actually liked it because you can just scroll through and order the phone.
It just felt a lot easier since most of the stuff I do on the app, like if I have to text him where I'm going or anything, I just felt like it felt more comfortable to be able to do it on the app than, wait for a menu to come and then pass it around, maybe spread germs. So I just felt like it was a lot cleaner.
It was easy, just easy.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things that I noticed a big difference in was in the casino with the seating at the table games. Also with the slot machines, they had certain slot machines that were closed off. They had some of the slot machines had the little plexiglass in between them and whatnot. Some of them had signs and they were just totally shut off. But at the table games, they allowed a maximum of 4 people at the tables. So on a craps table, they allowed 3 people on each end of the craps table, and that was the maximum they allowed on craps. And then they had one Texas Hold'em table, and they allowed 5 people on the Texas Hold'em table. It's hard to play Texas Hold'em, a live game, when you have a limited number of people because the rake's so high. I think Royal Caribbean has taken 10% up to like $15, so every pot you play, they're pulling $15 off the top of the pot. And if you only have 5 people and then you're going through your blinds, it's kind of hard to play Texas Hold'em like that. And the other table games were all 4 people. So while it was nice to not be crammed at the table, it also, some of the social experience wasn't as good as it could have been. One of the other big things that we noticed to tie in with that, the people on the ship.
Yes.
We met a ton of great people, and I met a ton of great people playing in the casino, and it would have been nice if we could have sat 6 or 7 of them at the same table, it was a group we were playing with together the whole week, but sometimes only 3 or 4 people could play, and then the other 2 or 3 we'd be sitting behind them just talking anyway because we couldn't sit more than 4 people to a table. So I get why they're doing it. Eventually it'll get back to where it's full capacity. But touching on the experience and the social experience with it being less crowded and less people, Cole was kind of concerned because of there wasn't as many kids.
No.
So he's like, there's not as many, it's not as fun. What happened, Cole?
Well, the first night there was like just a bunch of girls in the kids team club, and I wasn't, really doing anything. But come the third night, a bunch of my friends that I made actually came into the team club, and we went around the ship and started playing like shuffleboard and the arcade, and we just started having fun.
So he ended up making some good friends, quite a few friends. There weren't as many kids in the kids club though, but he made some really good friends. There were nights that we'd get done eating dinner and he'd be like, all right, Dad, I'm going to go hang with my friends at 6 o'clock. The kids club didn't even open till 8. He'd literally walk around the ship and hunt down his friends so he could say, bye, Dad. So I would just, I guess, go to the casino and do that a little bit earlier than planned. There were nights we had shows scheduled. We ended up not doing the shows because he made some friends in the kids club and just wanted to go hang out with his friends. So it ended up being a good experience for him.
Yeah.
I made a lot of great friends. It was very personable because you kept running into the same people because
It's not a very compacted ship.
Yeah,
it's
it was
very loose.
so few people everywhere you go, so you just kept running into the same people. We had a great group of people on this cruise, so that personable experience I think was a little bit better on this cruise as well. And then last but not least, I think, was the crew members.
Yes, everybody was so happy. Like, you would go to a bartender and they were just a lot more nice than, I wouldn't say normal, but they were just really nice.
I mean, they're always nice, but this experience, they were above and beyond. Like, if you go to the Windjammer, they're like, oh, it's so exciting to be here. We'd get off on the island and everybody was smiling and just, we take some footage and you'll see in our videos that we do some of the crew members and they're just like, hey, hi, they're so excited to be back, and that was very noticeable as well. They've always been friendly and the crew members are always great. Don't forget to tip your crew members, stateroom attendants, bartenders, wait staff, all that, because they are always great. But this cruise was a little bit above that. They were just above and beyond exceptional. Overall, it was a great cruise. We enjoyed every minute of it. Hated to have to get off. I'd love to be able to get back on it tomorrow if I could, but we'll get back on one again here soon. But overall, like I said, 4 thumbs up. Adventure of the Seas. Good time. But as for that, check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, check out the Facebook group page. Bye, everybody.